Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Übel Blatt Season 1, Episode 3. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So first and foremost, we had that opening with that at that moon temple where the priestess is I guess there's some dark science she was kind of seeing and reading from the moon, and I don't know if that had anything to do with what went down this episode of things kind of going sideways. I'd wonder if there's any correlation to Coinzel at all, especially considering he gets power from the moon, but I don't know if that's because I guess in my head I was thinking whatever species Coinzel is, Pepe's the same thing, but it's no, they're different species. So I'm because I think they were kind of talking about it maybe his entire race gets power from the moon. I don't know. Because there's this episode, the show continues to have way more questions than answers, because Coinzel is right there in front of his great charge. It's I'm his great mission of right, you're there, you're right in front of me, but then he gets attacked by some soldiers. But he crash lands, and there's Glenn. Now, I don't know if I guess that wasn't the rest of the 7 heroes, because people later on were only cheering for Glenn. And if they were all there, Coinzel would have taken notice of that. The only person he took notice of was Glenn. So maybe that when we saw them last time, that was all 7 of them. But then, it's just Glenn here right now. Maybe the others decided to leave. Because the people that were with him are kind of his most elite guard, his most elite group. So they're the ones that kind of break down, post-credits in the episode of, oh yeah, there's no, ranks or divisions. It's just kind of they are his elite knights and stuff like that. So I guess that's who that was. Because, like I said, if it was the other 6 members of the 7 heroes, Coinzel would have taken notice of them, not just Glenn, considering he's got smoke with all of them. But so close yet so far, because they used powers to basically keep him in place. He's able to move a little. He's even able to talk. But then it's just right there, the person you want to kill is right there in front of you, and you can't do anything. And I think that's what makes him so brokenhearted later on, because it just feels like I had you within my grasp and I missed my opportunity. Because it also hurts when it's just it's a stark reminder of everything they got by killing him and his comrades and branding them as traitors. And he even says oh, I've been aiming at this. I've wondered was he the Borderlands for 20 years? So I'm wondering, is it just Coinzel's species just ages slower? He's a lot, in very oh, you're a 1,000-year-old dragon, but you look like a 15-year-old girl type of thing. Maybe it's kind of something in that ilk of he looks like a kid, but he's really 45 years old or something like that. I keep stressing it too. We don't know what Coinzel's circumstances are. In the regards of, was Coinzel already a person that existed before our main protagonist ended up as Coinzel? Did he possess his body? Was it reincarnated as him, or was he born as him and he had lived 20 years to get? But he said once again, it's he has memories of the past and stuff. So we still don't know how that works out, especially considering Coinzel kind of made for a name for himself only 3 weeks ago prior, because there were some military people, preparing an assault in the Borderlands, and he ended up wiping them all out or something like that. So I'm how much of that was Coinzel and how much was it Street? I'm once again, I'm terrible with these names. The original person that's in Coinzel now, did he possess him after Coinzel had already made a name for himself, or did he do that as Coinzel? So many questions, and we're not necessarily any closer to an answer. But either way, like I said, I think Coinzel's entire world shattered, because it's oh, Glenn could have easily killed him right here and there, and Glenn would have killed you never knowing oh, who you really are and what you're doing. And he placated you in front of the entire crowd by saying oh, I'm a part of this young kid. Oh, we didn't send aid to the Borderlands like we should have. And this kid, he has every right to hate us, because of the 1,000 spears wall that was in the way. But we will do better going forward. And the crowd is cheering like, oh my god, look how magnanimous he is, how amazing he is, Lord Glenn, Lord Glenn. And it's just, that's disheartening. And for Coinzel, it's like, oh, I see, I finally see what you got for killing and betraying all of us and making us traitors. This is what you got, where it's just like people believe in him so wholeheartedly, and it's enough to be disheartened about, where it's just like, you missed your chance. And even if you killed him, he would just be considered a legend, and there'd be this martyrdom to it. Like, maybe there's elements of that playing a role in Coinzel's mind, but yeah, he walks away brokenhearted as the crowd disperses, as like Glenn just leaves. But the soldier who had tried to stop him earlier in the episode shows up, and he knows who Coinzel is. It's like, yeah, that kid is dangerous. I can't believe Glenn just parted him, because I don't think Glenn... The soldier recognized him, which we do see this particular soldier that tried to stop him this episode at least gets his leg sliced in the opening of so, and like in the actual proper opening of the anime. So I don't know, if he'll be sticking around or not in the long run. But for your boy Coinzel, it is... When it rains, it pours, and just as he's wallowing in self-pity, he immediately gets snatched up by like a dragon or wyvern, and we get introduced to a new character. I'm going to pronounce her name Ott. She's the third princess. I think she's in the intro. She's definitely in the outro, but I can't remember off the top of my head if she's in the intro. But yeah, she plans on getting revenge on Coinzel because apparently he killed her brother. Once again, this becomes that question of, well, did Coinzel do it, or is it Ostreet inside of Coinzel that did it? So once again, I won't have any clarification until like that situation resolved, and now kind of give us some answers of what was Coinzel and what wasn't. Did Coinzel exist? Once again, I keep retreading the whole point because I'm like, that's the biggest question I have about this situation. But either way, she's out for revenge because her brother ended up being murdered by Coinzel. And Wade knows her because he was like a personal guard to like the royals and stuff. So... And I guess specifically the armor she's wearing right now is kind of battle armor you wear when you're kind of out for like revenge. But, Pepe gets in the way and won't let her kill. Because it's like, great, I owe you. Coinzel's helped me and protected me, so I can't let you just straight up kill him. She was actually obviously concerned when she thought he died at the end of episode 2, but nevertheless... Ott is all about her revenge and is willing to slice her down, but Coinzel gets in the way. And the princess, who knows how much training she's really had, but obviously, and also Coinzel is very experienced, but she easily gets outclassed. Like the helmet she was wearing gets shattered by like the hilt of his sword. And like just like the look in his eyes scared her, and she like panics and falls. She was all about her revenge, but yet it all faltered in this moment. Which later on, Coinzel's like, right, you want to kill me? Go ahead. Because for him, it's just like, once again, your revenge is still out there, but I guess he figures like, what's the point when he sees all that, once again, what Glenn has accomplished and what he's got, when it's like, oh, all that sacrifice was to put you in this position and you got what you want and you've had this for so long, and so you're so deep rooted into it that once again, like if he gets killed, he's a martyr, and it makes it a lot harder to kill him, especially when he, without even realizing it, broke you mentally by just kind of pardoning your attempt. Like it makes him, he continues to look like a saint and such a great guy. So Coinzel kind of had nothing to live for. He's just like, right, go ahead and kill me. But then we ends up smacking him around because it turned out he's like, you're the person I'm looking for, because the person I'm actually looking for is, what's her name, Sean? I think so. She's Ott's older sister, and she got kidnapped while he was on guard duty, and he needs Coinzel's help to make this happen. It's like, right, you're this badass, and I need your blade. I need your help. You want to let Ott kill you after, it's fine, but you need to help me save the other princess first. Especially with like one of them now dead, their brother dead, is kind of like even more so of a reason of like, I need to, it makes you wonder like, while that was all going down, where was Ott at? Like, because like it seems like their brother was like on the battlefield, so I'm assuming that situation from 3 weeks ago is what, well, I think that's unrelated to their brother's murder, like Coinzel's situation 3 weeks ago. I think that's unrelated, but maybe it is related. it is that situation of, I think for Coinzel, when he's so mentally broken, it's like, I can't even accomplish what I want. Who am I? I'm not really in a position to help anyone else going, because I got to figure shit out. And once again, he's just wallowing in self-pity at this point. At the same time, we also had that situation with Pepe meeting, was it Zeffy? Another boy of her species, because he was like, oh, like they're trying to build a village. There are other people who came to the other side of the wall, like him and his parents did, and they're trying to gather together and build a village, and they want to bring Pepe with them. Which I'm like, oh, so I wonder, like, on the more Borderlands side of things, did their tribe once upon a time have a family, have a home and a place to call their own, and maybe like they were attacked and scattered to the winds, and now it's like, oh, let's actually make a new home now for our people. And yeah, that guy, it's something with a G. It's like Garpon or something like that. He kind of reminds me of Armstrong from Full Metal Alchemist, just personality wise, because like Armstrong is like a massive big softy, so he kind of gives me that same vibes. I mean, I think there's a lot of like big hulking characters in anime and stuff who, if you're a dick or you're the biggest softy in the world, so there's that archetype. But at first, it kind of seemed like he might have been a bad guy, especially because Wade shows up and I keep bouncing back and forth on the pronunciation of that name, but Wade shows up and he's like, "Oh, I saw the princess being given to you, so I know that you have her." So at first, I was like, was he mistaken and it was someone else? Because this guy does seem like a big softy, but I was like, is he playing dumb? But he seems like he genuinely is a good guy. But maybe it's also a thing of he misinterpreted what this was all about. Because he's initially like, well, he serves one of the 7 heroes. Was it Landgrave? Once again, I'm going to butcher his name. It's the S name or whatever. He's the same one that the monastery was to and stuff like that. But for him, like, maybe he thinks they're doing good. Of like, we're not kidnapping them. We're helping out these people, and it's all good. Everything's great. But these guys are kidnapping people, and I think selling people into like slavery and stuff. And they're after Zeffy because he witnessed what they were up to. But like, Hondu was like, no, I'm not going to hand this kid over. But then the bandits show him like, oh, we have the same insignia. Basically, we work for the same guy, and he gave us this mission. And now it's because his position is like, was he like the Centurion or something like that? And he's just like, no, this can't be. How can this be? Like, because he has his orders where it's like, this would be basically me going up against my lord's wishes, even though it's messed up and I want to do the right thing. But they're got the same sigil, so like this is legit. Like they work from my lord, so it's like, what do I do? And then the episode ends with Coinzel slicing and dicing people. So I guess hearing Home Dude's name again was enough to be like, oh, you work for him? Cool, you're dead. So it's going to be interesting to see where things go. The next episode is named Coinzel, so maybe we'll finally get better context about all of this and who Coinzel really is at the heart of things. There was also another thing I wanted to talk about too. That family of, was it Merel? Is like the name of like Pepe's like species and stuff. That Altia ended up helping that family cross. And they're like, oh, do you remember us? She's kind of like, right. I'm sure it's like she's helped out a lot of people, so she doesn't remember every face, but they're appreciative of what she did. And she kind of starts breaking down. And part of me wonders, is it because this was never her mission initially? The person we know that we learned about kind of in episode 1 that died. I mean, we still don't know nothing about them. Once again, I don't know if that's a significant other, a family member, whatever the case. Maybe it was someone that was important to her that died, and maybe it's like she's just been carrying on that torch for the past few years, because I think that was like 3 years ago. So maybe that's what kind of make her break down, because it's like, oh, like you'd be so proud of like the work we did, what you started. What we started, maybe, depending on whose idea it was. Maybe it was always a joint venture and she can continue without that person, or it was their idea, she was alone for the ride, and whatever the case may be. But maybe it's just kind of the reality of like, oh, like seeing like, oh, like our work doing good, where people are on the other side finding new opportunities and finding a better life. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see where the next episode takes us going forward with all of this. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. So the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.